Hi, friends. Welcome to the Budget Bounce. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jen, and I talk about our journey to financial freedom, including living life on a budget, paying down debt, making our money work for us, saving for our future, all of those good things. If that's stuff that you're interested in, then please hit that subscribe button down below and make sure to tap that bell. Today, we're going to talk about your money in uncertain times. And this video is actually part of a collaboration with several other YouTubers who are all out here talking about how the uncertainty of the world that we're living in right now today is affecting them personally, professionally, and their money. Each of us is affected differently. So you're going to get perspectives of people who are single, those who are married, those who have families, those who are in the healthcare industry, those that work in education. I happen to work in human resources. So there are several of us coming from all different perspectives. I feel like there's going to be something for you out here. So you're going to want to check out those other videos. And I do have that list down below in the description so that you can check those out when you're done watching this video. Okay, so we're dealing with a lot right now. We've got school closures, businesses are closing, travel restrictions, canceled public and private events, massive drops in the market worldwide, and unemployment is going up significantly right now because of all of the business closures. Social distancing is a thing that is here to stay for a little bit, so we all need to work to flatten that curve. All of this is really scary. While all of these changes are happening, there are so many uncertainties. You're probably wondering what's going to happen with your health, with your home, with your work, with your family, with school, with your money. All of the change means that you're probably going to have to make some changes to your own plans. That could be plans for school, plans for work, plans for travel. It could be plans for your money. It might be appointments that you have scheduled. It could be as simple as just changing your shopping habits. Everything seems so incredibly uncertain right now. So there are some things that we can do to try to manage our anxiety through all of this. And even if you aren't somebody who's experiencing anxiety in its true form, you're probably experiencing more stress in your life right now. And that may be why you're here. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk to my audience about things that you can do to try to help, I don't know, minimize it, maybe neutralize some of that because, it's a reality for me. So I suffer from depression, and mine has been relatively mild until 3 years ago when my husband he basically had a breakdown. He suffered from severe and debilitating anxiety and depression. And the stress of that, I mean, I was very, very scared for my husband, first of all. Second of all, from the financial perspective, that event and what happened in our life is what triggered me starting the Budget Bounce. It's what triggered, actually, the first thing that came was we started living life on a budget, right? So I started into therapy later that year, and I have continued to do so. So I'm over 2 years into that. And this week, this is all we talked about, was dealing with the stress and the anxiety of all the different ways that this is affecting me, all the different directions that it's coming at me from. Not everybody has that luxury. So I'm not afraid to say that I'm in therapy and that I need help and I'm getting help. And that's what helps me to maintain what I have so far. I've had no issues with continuing to work through this. And I've had a lot of other things going on in my life. My dad got hurt last month, and I spent almost the entire month of February at my parents' house instead of with my family. And well, their family, but I mean my immediate family, my husband and children. That was a stressor that was going on in my life. And then all of this built up as the month went by, and then March came, and then things started getting serious in the United States. Here we are, right? And so I'm filming this on March 19th. And things are a little bit hectic, to say the least. And so everybody needs to find a way to manage that stress. And so there are some things that you can actively do that aren't going to therapy. So the first set of things we can do is focus on gratitude and be grateful for the things that we do have. Be grateful for the stabilities that we do have in our lives, because not everything's uncertain right now. A lot of the big things are uncertain. So let's focus on the things that are more stable and comforting to us. So we're thankful that we have a home to shelter in. we have a house and we have plenty of room for all of us. If we needed to stay here for a few weeks because we couldn't go out, we would manage. It would be okay. And so we find comfort here in one another and and being in our own space. We're thankful that we're still healthy, including my parents who are in their mid to late 70s. And that puts them in the high risk category, right? Just by virtue of their age. And by the way, that's them right there. That's a really good picture of them. And that's me. Yeah, that's me with my dad at my wedding. Anyway, they are in the exceptionally, they both are in the high risk category. My dad has moderately progressed lung disease. And so he is in an exceptionally high risk category. And so there has been some stress for me from that, in that I get concerned about them, and I worry about them. They're very social people and they like to be with people and their friends, and they have a great circle of a church family and friends. But overall, I am so, so glad that my parents are both still healthy, as are all of their friends and the rest of my family. We're thankful that both of us are still working full time. This is such a blessing. So I wake up every day, and while, yes, I'm stressed and yes, I'm tired, I am so thankful that I have a job to go to, because not everyone can say that. And Matt is still working full time as well. And so that means that so far, the financial impact has been very minimal on us. We're thankful that we have plenty of food and supplies in the house. 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, we had the foresight of saying, I just said, I think I'm going to do shopping for 3 weeks instead of 1. That way we have it in case we need it. And I did that, but never, when we did these hauls, did we hoard anything, ever. So we didn't buy any toilet paper. So just to be clear, but we bought a ton of food that is stable, it's shelf stable, or it's frozen. We did that so that we have what we need in case we can't get it later, like right now where the shelves are so empty. So we are very blessed that we have a house full of food and supplies that will keep us going. We probably have enough here for 3 to 4 weeks without any issues. So I feel so, so thankful for that. Not only that we have it, but that we were able and that we were in a position to be able to get those supplies for ourselves. We are grateful that we have about 1.5 months of expenses in the bank right now. I have an emergency fund that I keep for us, right? So Matt and I have talked about this and how much we want to have in there, and we want to grow it significantly from where it is. Even though we're still in debt, we do want to grow our savings, and that was one of our goals for 2020. But we've also been building our sinking funds, and I am a huge proponent of sinking funds. They help us manage our money, because money just slips through our fingers like sand. And we recognize this. And so I use sinking funds to help us control that, to make sure we have the money that we need when we need it. And the total that we have in those accounts right now is close to $7,000. So that is about a month and a half for us of expenses. Like if we cut everything out, it's about a month and a half. The next set of things that you can do is work to stay healthy. And there's some active things that you can do for this. And some of these are going to be really obvious, and you've heard them a ton of times already from all different places, but wash your darn hands already. Just wash them as often as you possibly can, and do it properly so that you can truly get rid of the germs, right? Stay home. That's another thing that you can do. Stay home and prevent yourself from being exposed, and it will help prevent you from exposing others in case you're carrying it and don't know it. Another thing you can do is to stay away from those people that are at high risk. So that includes the elderly and anybody who has pre-existing conditions. And we're talking about like chronic health conditions like heart disease and lung disease and diabetes and some other things like that can really severely impede an immune system, and anybody who's immunosuppressed in any way. You want to try to steer clear of those people, especially the people that you know and you care about in your life. And this is a real thing for me, in that my parents are in their 70s, and I just spent a whole lot of time with them over the last 6 weeks because my dad has been hurt. He had surgery, he's had therapy, lots of doctor's appointments. And I've just been there trying to help both my mom and my dad get through that. We have been for the last 2 or 3 years sensitive to spending time down there if any of us has even a cold. And that's because my dad has emphysema and COPD, and he smoked for 62 years. And as of today, today's Thursday, I think it's day number 35, smoke free. So this is fantastic. I don't think he's ever gone this long without any cigarettes at all. He's using a nicotine patch and he's doing fantastic. So Dad, if you're watching this, just know I'm shouting it from the rooftops to the world who's watching anyway, how incredibly proud I am of you through this process. So that's also helped with his recovery, but he still has emphysema and COPD. And so he is in an exceptionally high risk group, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize his health. So we have been sensitive to that for just a common cold. We are going to be super sensitive to it. Now, finally, we've gotten him to a place where I don't need to be there. I don't need to help Mom. I'm going to stay away for a little bit. Another thing that you can do, and that was a really good segue into this. Another thing that you can do to stay healthy is to stay home. Stay home as much as you can. If you have the ability and you are not an essential person who needs to be on site, do that if you can. Another thing you can do to stay healthy is use delivery services instead of like going to the store or running through the drive-through yourself. But when it comes to going to the store, if you're going to go into a store, there is such a high risk of exposure. So you want to do what you can to avoid those situations. So using a delivery service is a fantastic way to do that. When we did our 3-week grocery haul, well, typically when we do our grocery hauls, I use Instacart, and I love Instacart. I signed up for the annual subscription or whatever you call it for the delivery service. We get free deliveries all year long. And by the way, I have a referral code down below for that. If you're interested in signing up for Instagram, if you're interested in signing up for Instacart, feel free to click on that link down below. You get a little bit of something. I think maybe you get $10 off your first order, and your first delivery is free. And I also get a little bit of something for the referral, just to be clear. But Instacart is a service that locally for me, I can order from Aldi, Target, Costco, any of those, and have groceries or other household supplies delivered to us. So I don't have to go out, which I hate shopping anyway, which is why I've been using the service. So this really wasn't a change for us, but it certainly is something that's available to anyone. Okay, some other things that you can do to try to help manage your stress and your anxiety through uncertain times is to focus on things that are within your control. Okay, so you've probably heard this before, but I just want to reiterate it. These things are really important. You want to not focus on things like whether or not your business is going to close, because you have zero control over that. You can show up and be the rock star employee and do everything that's needed, work the long hours, do everything possible, and they may still not be able to continue to employ you. They might have to do a furlough, which hopefully that would be the best option, just a few days off or a few weeks off without interrupting your employment. But they might have to do a layoff, or they might have to close and terminate everyone altogether. There are so many different scenarios that could happen, and they are not within your control. Instead, be thankful that you're still working. Okay, so try to focus on that. Like, you get to go to work. There are so many people who don't get to go to work right now. Also, thinking about coming up with a plan for what to do if you can't work. There are lots of places that are looking to hire. While yes, we're hearing about all the jobless claims, all the people, the unemployment is going up, and all of that, there are also tons of places that are trying to hire people. All of these delivery services need help. All of these places that are ordering online and shipping need help. Many retailers, I heard this week that Amazon is hiring 100,000 people to gear up for what is to come, what they're in the middle of right now. So do what you can to make a plan for, maybe I'm not going to be able to work. What am I going to do next? How am I going to make some money? Another thing to not focus on right now is whether or not there's going to be a recession. Regardless of whether it's going to happen because of what's happening right now, or regardless if it's going to happen because it's just the cycle of our economy, we have no control over that. what you can do is you can focus on how you are going to save as much money as you possibly can in case you become a person that's without a job. Be thinking about how you can increase your income so that you can save. Be thinking about how you can cut your expenses so that you can save. I'm sorry, the cat just came down. Hi, Lucy. So instead, think about things that you can do to make money, to earn money, if you end up being out of work. And so, I don't know if you can hear her, but she's talking to me over here. So, you want to try to make that plan now before you are in a position of great stress. You might be distraught. It might be hard for you to think straight to be able to come up with that plan. You want to be working on that now. You don't want to wait to do your plan until you're forced into doing the plan, because we don't really make good decisions when we are under a lot of stress. So be thinking about that. What can you do if something should happen to your income? And it might not be that you lose your job. You might lose some hours. You might still have a job, but you lose hours. So you want to be thinking about that. Come up with those ideas now. Another thing to try not to focus on is whether or not you or someone you love is going to get sick. So I'm not being unrealistic here and asking you to not think about it at all. We are all thinking about it, okay? I'm not saying don't think about it. I'm saying don't focus on that, because we have no control over that. With one exception, we can do all the things that I listed to stay healthy, do all the things that we can to try to keep ourselves and our families healthy. So focus on those things instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, what if somebody gets sick? Oh my gosh, what if? All of these things we're talking about today are to try to help you prepare for that. And all of these things, while I'm not talking directly about money yet, all of these things will impact your ability to do what you need to get through this whole thing that's happening right now in the world. Because another thing that you can not focus on is, like your investments and your retirement plan. Now, please understand, I know that if you are living off of your retirement, or if you are getting close to retirement, your situation is very different than what I'm about to describe. And I have not done the research to try to understand how you can work through those issues. But for the people who have 5, 10, or more years before they're going to have to live off of their retirement, this is a time of volatility that is part of the regular cycle of our market. Things go up and things go down. And there's this whole dollar cost averaging where there are times when we are buying things and they cost more and we get less, right? So it costs $100 for a share when things are good, but right now maybe it only costs $20 for that share. And so the bottom line is you're buying a share or you're buying a stock, whatever it is that you're doing, and you're buying those things right now. My take on this is pretty much things are on sale. Like, it's the whole theory behind investing and saving for your future is you want to buy low, sell high, right? So you want to buy it for $20 and you want to sell it for 100 if you can. That's how our money grows exponentially over time, plus all of the compound interest and all that good stuff. But those are things that right now I know the numbers going down, and I know how incredibly disheartening that can be. I know how scary that can be. And my 401k is down tremendously right now. But what I keep thinking is, but when I'm sending the same amount of money out on my paycheck next time as I did last time, things are costing less, so I'm getting more for my dollar, right? For every dollar that I spend. So I'm trying to focus on those things instead of focusing on, oh my God, the number keeps going down. What am I going to do? There's not a whole lot that we can do as individuals, but we can try to stay positive, because when this all turns around, and it will, because over the history of the decades of the US stock market, prices will go up and then they'll come down, and then they'll go up and they'll go a little higher, and then they'll come down but not quite as low, and then up a little higher and then not down quite as low. And you see this, how I keep going higher and higher every time. That is how the market works. And we are in a downturn right now, and that's just going to be part of it, and it's going to go back up. You have to remember that you're buying really low right now, and then those shares that you're only worth $20 right now, they might shoot up to $100 when we get done with this. And now you have 5 times as much value in your retirement plan as you had before you started. So for me, one of the things I'm doing, while yes, we are saving in our emergency fund and that kind of thing, I also increased my 401k contribution so that I can buy more right now. So that's what I'm doing to try to focus on something else that's good instead of being so concerned about the things that I can't control with the market. Now, when it comes to your money, there are a few things that you can do to try to help neutralize the fears that you're having, neutralize that stress and that anxiety. So if you're paying off debt and you are paying with a snowball, meaning, and maybe you use a different term, but if you're paying extra more than your minimums on your debts right now, oh my, someone's upset. I think it's time for bed and she's upset. Okay, and I think they're going to be right above us. So I apologize if this is in the background. But if you're paying off debt, consider stopping your snowball. Consider stopping making those extra payments to your debt. So if your minimum payments are $500 a month and you've been doing $1,000, consider only doing the $500 that is the minimums on your debt, and then take that other $500 and set it aside in a savings account, just in case you need it. You can always, if you get through this and you didn't need to use it, you can always apply it to your debt later. Likewise, if you are investing right now, you might consider stopping your investing. So that's not what I'm doing. I just shared with you that I increased my 401k. So I'm not stopping my 401k. I'm increasing it right now. We are in a position to be able to do that. We feel comfortable with that. If things get worse, we'll reevaluate and consider whether or not we're going to continue. But your situation might be different. So if you're investing or contributing to your 401k plan right now, or 403b, or whatever plan you have, you may consider, you might want to consider stopping that, and again, putting that extra money into a savings account that's available to you should you need that money in the coming weeks. And again, if you don't need it later, if you don't need it through this, then later you can invest it. You can go ahead and use that in your investments however you like. I mentioned this before, but consider taking on a side hustle. And the thing that I mentioned before was they're looking for delivery drivers for all kinds of things. And there are all kinds of services out there that are doing deliveries now. So consider trying to make some extra money with a side hustle. Another thing that you want to try to focus on here, as far as your money goes, is try to cut your non-essential spending right now. What we're cutting out is the non-essential things that we really don't need. Like if I already have 30 rolls of toilet paper in the house, I don't need to go buy more right now. So things like that. Just wait until it becomes truly essential for you to purchase those things, and only purchase what you need right now. Everything else, all the money that you're saving by not purchasing these things, put it in a savings account so you have it available for later if you need it. Another thing that you can do is you can do meal planning and meal prep using the food that's currently in your house. Now, whatever you have, you might have to get creative. That might be part of it, but use what you have in your home and try to create a meal plan that will work. And then you need to stick to it. In order for this to work, you need to stick to it. So it's different for everybody. All of these things impact everyone differently. All of these uncertainties will affect there's so many variables that go into it. So the things that I'm describing, they may not all work for you. And I might have left some things out that you thought of that would be great ideas. In fact, if I have, please comment below and leave your ideas so that everyone can see them, because I'm certainly not an expert. I'm talking about what I know. So earlier I talked about the fact that part of this collaboration is we're going to talk about how this is affecting us personally and professionally. And I've talked about a lot of those things, but I did want to share with you a little bit about mine and Matt's work, because the line of work that we each are in individually is directly impacted by what's happening right now. So Matt actually works for the state, and he works in the unemployment department. So claims are rising very quickly there, and they are looking for all the help that they can get. They've closed the local office that he works in to the public, so no one can come in anymore, but they have lots and lots of work to do because people are calling in and doing internet claims. So somebody has to manage all of that. And so that's what he's doing. And it's even resulting in overtime for him because there is so much activity right now. The other piece is that I work in human resources. And so if you are in HR yourself, or if you know anyone who works in HR or anything about your HR department at your company, they are driving a lot of the communications that are happening. So we are partnering with our executive team and we do this stuff all day, every day. I haven't done my regular job for several days now because we're dealing with this and trying to help our management team with answering all the questions that they're getting. They have tons of their own questions, plus employees are asking lots of questions. We're trying to gather resources that are available to everyone. It is an extremely difficult time, and I'm not asking anyone to feel bad for me. That's not where I'm going. My point is to share that I'm really lucky to be in a place where I have access to so much information. I mean, that's my job. I have to learn about this stuff, but it means that I know a lot more than many people do. Just because I have to know it because they're paying me to know it. And some people just don't have access to the information like I do. I mean, I and my colleagues are being inundated with emails from all different resources with information about what's happening and how we can help our employees and how we can help our business. And so that, while it's stressful, it really has given me a sense of a kind of a peace of mind because I understand what's going on. And I'm lucky to work for an employer who is very laser focused on his employees because he recognizes that without them, he can't service the clients. He can't do what we do. We have 850 employees in our company, and we cannot possibly serve the client if our workforce is sick, if they are unhealthy and unable to come to work. So we're doing everything that we can to try to protect our employees while they're in the workplace. And we're getting as many out of the workplace as we possibly can, yet trying to keep them working. So, and that includes a couple of call centers that we have that all of the call center agents are being sent home. And they're being sent home with equipment so they can do their job there and we can continue to service our clients. I am so incredibly lucky to work for a company that's going to be able to weather this storm. We are not a small company. We're a mid-sized, privately held company that's been around for 45 years, and they are set up financially to a point that this is going to be okay. We are very well diversified in the different types of business that we do, and I'm going to be very lucky. I would be so surprised if we actually end up being a company that has to close our doors. We might have to close down for a little bit, but I'm one of the few people who is not concerned about losing my job. I am an essential person. I have been identified as an essential staff. And so I'm going to be working through this process until we come out the other side. And so whether I'm at home or at the office doing this, I'm going to be working. I'm so, so lucky. Many other people at my company are going to be working. Not everyone will necessarily get to work all of their hours all of the time if things can continue the way that they are. But for right now, we are doing okay. And I share this with you because my audience who's been watching for a long time, I know you guys want to know about how we're doing. And so I'm taking the time to share that with you. So right now, things are pretty much stable for us at home and with our money. I mean, we are in a really good place compared to where we would have been 3 years ago now, even a year and a half ago now. We have done some really good things with our money so that we are not in such an awful place like we were when Matt very unexpectedly went off of work in 2017 and stopped working for 10 months and didn't have that income. We had zero money in the bank at that time. And so my why in this whole thing is I never, ever, ever want us to have to go through something like that again. The stress of the financial stress, in addition to all of the things that were going on with his health, it was just so, so much for all of us. So we've been trying to position ourselves so that if something like this happened and if one of us couldn't work, because it's possible he can't work from home. And if they close that down, he's not working and he's not getting paid. At least I don't think he is. He's in a union. I don't think he's getting paid. And that's what we're planning on, is he's not getting paid. So, if it comes to that, that's going to be tight. but it's not going to be nearly as bad as it was when everything hit the fan a couple of years ago. I'd feel more comfortable if we had 3 to 6 months of expenses in the bank right now in our emergency fund, but we don't, and I'm not focused on that. I'm not focused on, oh, I wish we had it. Oh, if only we had it. That is not where I am. I'm focused on, oh my gosh, look at what we do have. Look at what we have available to us if we need it. So I'm really, I have to. Now, I said I go to therapy every week, and so I get help with this, but I'm very good at compartmentalizing and dealing with things when I need to deal with them. And right now, there are a lot of things I don't need to deal with. So I'm not doing that. So to summarize what we've talked about here, the key things for you to do during times that are so incredibly uncertain with your money and everything else that's going on is to focus on the things that you can control. Be kind and help others. Be grateful. Practice gratitude. And be flexible with your plans, whether it be your personal, your professional, or your financial plans. Be flexible so that you can kind of move with the fluidity that we're dealing with in this incredibly unprecedented time. So next up, I'm going to be talking with Liz over at Chief Mom Officer about emergencies that go beyond the emergency fund. Right here is where you need to click. I'm going to be over there talking with her about such an incredibly relevant topic that we recorded and talked about 6 months ago. So head on over there, make sure that you stay safe and healthy in the meantime, and I will meet you there.